Hey friends, I am Dave Kirkpatrick.
Hello, I'm Jonah. Hi, Dave. Nice to see you.
And we are going live from from the Iron Horse Studios or conference room or wherever we happen to be.
Yeah.
I suppose at the moment. And yeah, welcome.
Beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. It's winter. The winter is over.
It's
Summer's
beautiful
here.
weather.
Yeah, right,
it's
exactly.
Beautiful. I've taken a new job. I'm working in a space. It's hot and dusty, but it's like big windows everywhere, a view of a pond in Harrisville, and the wind comes through. It's really nice.
Very nice.
We can't wait to get out of work when we know it's nice out. So.
Oh yeah. The times are a little darker, but at least we've got that underlying.
Times are dark.
weather.
I have all kinds of junk in my head while
I know. We had a little bit of a hard time coming up with topics for the show. There's so much to talk about. I mean,
we did, and I find myself getting a little down. I was saying that like, let's not talk about the stuff on my list so much because I'm feeling kind of cranky. There's a lot of, I don't know. I spend a lot of time looking for the good and finding bright sides, finding optimism, this and that. But I do have to work at it, and sometimes I'm just feeling gloomy and crappy and just. So we did come up with a healthy, wholesome list of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
I think so.
But it's depressing times. I think we're all feeling it. I think it's hard to keep happy, keep sane when the world is crumbling in around you. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what's bugging you? What's at the top of your list these days? I mean, it's hard to pick
what's bugging me?
Top of the pile, isn't it?
What's bugging me? What is bugging me? I don't know. I mean, I think the fact that the country is moving into dangerous, unconstitutional territory.
Oh, yeah.
Not just in terms of the Roe precedent, but everything that's been coming out of the Supreme Court is very scary. It's very dangerous. A lot of it is very scary. A lot of very dangerous, and these are times where corporations and people with a lot of power are solidifying that power in a big way, and people should be standing up in the streets every day for that, to make sure that it doesn't happen, because very, very quickly we could lose everything that we have right now, and that's a scary thought. But it personally, for me, gives me hope. I think that it's so, the times are so overwhelming that it's going to snap people into action. At least that's my optimistic approach, and I think that we're seeing that. I mean, 400 people came out on Decision Day in Keene.
Yeah.
It's a rapid response rally, and 400 people came out to oppose what the Supreme Court did, overturning Roe.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing, that's where I find some optimism. Every so often I'll drive through and find that people have come out and stepped up and understand, and they're mad.
They're yelling at the cars.
Mad enough to do something about it. And I honestly wonder when, literally when the pitchforks will come out. Like we always kind of tease that. I don't know, I guess both sides do.
Hopefully we don't have to get to a point where we're fighting each other, because the point, we are one people, and this is a top versus bottom fight. I mean, this is people with power versus people without it, and they are we're being moved pretty quickly into a civil war type scenario where you said pitchforks could come out on both sides, and that would be very devastating for this country and the world.
They certainly keep us busy arguing and fighting amongst ourselves to maintain a system whereby they're taking from both sides, and everybody who's not at the top is certainly feeding that machine. Yeah, it can be infuriating. I love to see the people come out.
But I think Natalie said it, Maria Perez said it, Joy said it, a lot of people said it that day, Leah said it. We have to stay in the streets. We have to stay consistent, keep fighting. I mean, whatever it is it a weekly thing? Is it a daily thing? We have to be in the streets, be vigilant, be civilly disobedient, and be willing to nonviolently stand up and oppose what's going on in this time, because there's no time to be complacent or silent. We have to keep being in the streets, organizing our communities, building a new world together, solidarity. It's the only way. It's the absolute only way.
Yeah, in every way. And there's been so much done. There's been so much gain by the grassroots movements, by the people in the streets, the whole Black Lives Matter thing. I mean, people get mad and people are yelling about running over protesters and all, like people get upset when this stuff goes on. But I also think politicians take note, when people are coming out and there is stuff going on, that gives them a reason to not just phone it in and not just think everything's going to be fine, because honestly, when things crumble, it's going to touch everyone pretty seriously. So yeah, we don't want anything like a civil war. We don't want to be fighting with each other. Like it's largely, it's not fellow Americans who ought to be going back and forth at it. It is the class structure. It's the war. They're doing everything they can to get us not to fight the 1%, the 2% versus everybody else who does all the work and does all the living and dying, as they say.
0.1 top 1%, exactly.
Yeah.
And yep, that's 100% it. I mean, we can't get complacent. Can't get complacent.
Nope. And I like to see it. I like to see people out in the streets. I'm a visual person, and that's some of the stuff where I find reasonable.
Well, I mean, it's not just a visual thing too. It's also where we're building community. This is one of the things I hated about the last 2 years. I mean, we had to be inside on our phones, on our computers, on the Zooms, whether it was in school, on the organizing field, whatever it was, you had to be in Zoom. That created such a terrible situation and such terrible dynamics for so many things, and it really, it's good for some things, and I appreciate what Zoom has done, but in terms of building relationships, building community, fostering that social aspect of what politics is, it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yep.
There's no food and music anymore. There's no joy in politics. Oh, I have to go to this hour-long meeting where someone's talking to me. That's horrible, and no one wants to do that.
The side conversations are the whole reason to go, to half of this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the people you meet, the people you bump into in the parking lot, at the buffet, or whatever it might be. That's a whole lot of the.
Well, and if forget who it was that said it, but I was pretty sure it was either a Republican on MUR or something like that. I don't know. I saw it last year, but they were talking about how the Republicans won the House, and it was by thousands of votes, hundreds of votes. You knock on a door, hello, how are you? This is me. You leave, even not even seeing them, just leaving some mailing thing. Democrats didn't do that last time, and that played a lot into them losing the House and the Senate and the Executive Council, and I think it could play well into the reason that they might do well this time. It's because we're back out and we're back knocking on doors and stuff. But we got to get out in community. The in-person thing cannot be discounted. I mean, safely, as safe as we can, but I mean, we have to do it.
Yeah.
It's vital.
I always hear and I agree the door knocking and those personal conversations, the going downtown and just talking to folks and shaking hands is where relationships are made. It has the most impact. It really does. Yep. You can actually reach somebody and having a conversation, and we have people all the time tell us about their going out door knocking, bumped into somebody and had this awkward, something that started out a little rough. And walk away saying, and at the end the guy says he's voting for me, or we hear those stories, and I think we also realize that people are not as great of villains as we make them out to be when they come knocking on your door and say hello, please, and thank you.
Definitely. I will say, one to the point you were making a couple of times ago, it's sad to see how politicians who do see us in the streets are seeing this as an issue, obviously, to fundraise off of. I mean, I think I got 10 some odd emails for fundraising from Democrats across the country. Mm-hmm. This is terrible, give us money. I mean, we can't forget, and this is about political courage here. It has nothing to do with any other party. Democrats in 2008 had a supermajority. Obama went on the trail. He said, I'm going to sign the Women's Health Act, first priority. He gets in office and he says the Women's Health Act is not a legislative priority of mine. That's political malpractice. It's a lack of courage. It's cowardice. And that is what the Democrats have shown time and time again. And they've sold out the people, largely. They've largely sold out the people. And if we, as people who really care about changing this world, want to change this world, then we have to call that out as what it is, corruption. And that's, if we want to save our country from theocrats who would like to take power and never give it up, it ain't going to be through sending money to these people who have sold us out for the last 40 some odd years. So I get frustrated with politicians, and I say that as someone who's on the ballot this year. And I get frustrated with the electoral process, because it's taken energy that could have changed the world and shelled it into this process that time and time again has sold out the people.
And money, like it costs so much money to run an election. It's like so many of the problems that we look at could just be offset by not having to do this, to throw.
Well, right. I mean, when we talk about the
that.
Supreme Court, we can go back to Citizens United, and I'd have to research further, but there are other court cases where they have decided time and time again in terms of for the corporations against the people. Those, of course, never get media attention, but they are just as important as a lot of the other cases that get media attention. Not Roe. That's one of the most important cases in the last half century.
Yeah.
But this is something that I've been saying for a lot. I mean, those corporate court cases are very important. This has been a slow coup of our country, and that has to be recognized. The Roe is just the finale of a slow coup of our country, and they've been trying it for a long time. And people with power.
They did it all while we were watching. They told us what they were going to do.
Plain sight.
It's the Billy Jack scene. I'm going to put this foot upside your head, and there's nothing I can do about it. They told us what they were going to do. They swindled us the way that we were swindled before and in plain sight.
Right.
And I just cannot get over the fact that there was these people like the former guy who commanded the microphone and commanded the media and just said stuff, and that stuff became true. And I'm really looking for the Dems, the Indies, the grassroots people, everybody who's the opposite of what we're suffering right now, to find their voice and to leverage the tools that we have, because we have so many great tools. We're streaming on Facebook and YouTube. Everybody's got a phone in their pocket with a great camera on it. Like we have the media and the tools, but they have this money and focus and energy, and they really do their messaging well. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what wins. That's why the whole money, corporations are people, and money is free speech, like all that crap. Like, we're going to lose that game. But we have, the DIY kit, and we can put that stuff together, and we should really be trying to drown out their message.
I wouldn't say that we're going to lose that game. It's just about mass mobilization of the people. There are a number of politicians out there that could, at this moment, call people into Washington, and there would be a number of millions of people who would be coming to Washington, and that would be 100, even if it was hundreds of thousands or 100,000 people, that would be a domino effect that sparks then millions of people to come down to Washington. And people are feeling so ready in this moment for that mass mobilization. They just need a guiding light. They just need that guiding light to say, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to do it, come down to Washington, we're going to get this done. That would be the only thing that could bring Roe back, overturn Citizens United, all of these things which have solidified into the institutions of the United States. The only thing that's going to actually overturn those things is mass mobilization of the people, going to the Capitol, going to state capitals, mass mobilization, not stopping. A true fight for justice. That's the only thing that's going to be able to get these cancers off the institutions which are supposed to work for us, basic public institutions. And to get pessimistic, I guess, I worry that there isn't anyone out there with the platform and the courage, that combination to then get it done.
Yeah, that is tricky. Getting somebody to speak, you're going to draw a little bit of fire here and there, especially if you're being effective. The knives are coming out, and it can be hard to. So certainly for the players, for the centrists and the others who hover, they are afraid to tick off their friends. They're afraid to tick off their donors. They're of course afraid to tick off the other team, who will come at them with rotten stuff. So it is. The grassroots movement is hard, and sometimes I wonder whether it is as much the volume of the positive message we're sending, or the volume of the plea, or the threat of "we're coming for you in your castles." Like, I wonder what motivates the politicians more when they see.
I think if you look at history, it's more the mob.
The mob outside
the mob.
gates, and then we want to differentiate ourselves from the folks who had their little party on January 6th over,
Well, I think it's, but I think it's clear that we differentiate. That is a clear distinction that we're being made. I mean, a fight for just. I mean, that we can't make that same equation, because people are doing that with the Black Lives Matter thing too. This is a totally different thing, and we are a clear fight for justice and equity. I'm sure some of those Trump people would come if we were in a fight for justice and equity and actually fighting for them.
That's an interesting point.
So, it's nothing to do with insurrections. What it has to do with is meeting the principles that are in our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Expanding those principles and making sure that we have a government which meets our basic humanity. It's a very achievable thing. It's not going to take 10 years, 20 years.
It takes
it's a completely achievable thing. Completely achievable.
I do feel that when
could have happened 4 years ago, could have happened 6 years ago.
Point, when it tips, I think it's going to tip and be good and stay. Like, I can't believe this minority, any minority, can have this much power for this long and be so wrong at it.
One would hope, but people do get complacent.
They get very complacent. And the other thing I was going to say is, like, they wear us down. We took to the streets and we did some stuff and we achieved some things, and we're like, all right. But the other side is relentless, and we kind of have to keep up that thing. And they know that we're gonna taper off. We're gonna get tired. We're not gonna go to the square every time there's a thing, because we've been doing that for so long, and we really just need to keep up. If you're out there watching, get out, get up. Please come out and support, hold signs, write letters, do all that stuff just to be visible, just to be seen. And I really want folks to understand too, let's support each other's causes. I'm a member of very few of these groups who are targeted for this stuff, and it is incumbent upon me to stand with my fellow man to bring the things that elevate the people, we the people, all the people, and I just, I think we need to be there for each other at our rallies. I've been at every women's event I can get my hands on. I could say I'm not a woman, I have no stake in this, but that's preposterous too, because this is society. These are my friends, family. We all have a stake in each other's.
Well, not only that, this is 100% about control, and it's not just about controlling a woman's body, although that is what the Roe is about. This is a fight to control us, working class people, and the bodies of us all, to police the working class through and through, to strip us of any semblance of freedom that we may have had. That affects every single person, and the fact that more men, more people who are, more people, not just women, are standing up for this when it is so blatant that 6 people who are political actors can get on the court by illegal elections.
Political actors, yes.
Can get out there and do this. That is what's illegal about what's going on right here. This is the domestic enemies that the Founding Fathers talked about when they wrote the Constitution. It requires all of us to stand with the Constitution and actually stand against people who actually oppose this Constitution, want to rewrite it into some sort of theocracy. That is absolutely unacceptable. And I think when our leaders speak more with fire, with more fire in regards to what's actually happening right now, that'll break the apathy that people feel. I think back to, I was trying to look for the day, but I think back to 2016. I was going to say it was 4 years ago, but that's totally wrong. Bernie did that. He broke the apathy of all the people, and he
touched a few nerves.
He touched a few nerves, but of course you're going to touch some nerves.
Yeah.
This is a threat to people's power. You're a direct threat to people who are in power at the exploit of other people, at the expense of other people. And of course you're going to make enemies. FDR said, and Bernie said this in the campaign too. Not that I'm a diehard for Bernie, but people were talking about this in the campaign, and FDR said this in his fight as well. Define me by my enemies, not by people who support me. That's true. Define me by my enemies.
Yep.
I would much rather have the enemy of the people who are voting for military budgets and supporting corporations than I would be the enemy of the people. I don't want to kowtow to the people that are doing horrible things to this world, doing the damage to this world. It doesn't matter what letter you have next to your name. It's about what your actions are, what the content of your character is, and I think once we start going back to that principle, restoring mutual respect in this country, we'll be able to build solidarity together and restore those principles that I do think, even though we didn't perfectly meet them, we had a lot more of once in this country, and I think we're losing them very rapidly.
When I find my optimism, when I find my bright sides and my silver linings, I think that we absolutely can overcome this. That this is a growing pain. This is a tantrum. It's like this. It's this really ugly thing, but from the darkest before the dawn department too, where this is going to be ugly, and racism dying makes an ugly sound, and screams and kicks and does puts on the whole show. And I do think we are collectively smart enough to save ourselves eventually from destroying our planet, and to save us hopefully quickly from deciding we need to fight each other in a war or some preposterous thing. We are better than that, but my goodness, we've got all this technology, we've got all this information at our fingertips. You'd think we'd be a little quicker about figuring out our stuff. It's very frustrating.
I think the technology has hurt us.
Yeah.
People who went through less catastrophic times were a lot more vigilant and a lot more movable. I'm thinking of the civil rights movement. I'm thinking of all of the suffragettes movement. They had a lot less than we do right now. Yeah. They were a lot more movable. I think we've been stuffed with distractions, and that has hurt us badly. Not that this isn't a great tool. I mean, we're able to speak to the people, and we're able to stay separated in a pandemic. I mean, those are great tools. But they are also great distractions.
Great distractions, but I also think it's a quick fix. It's like the sugar high or something. You can do stuff with social media. You can get people angry really fast. You can deliver some little bite that enough people see that gets you there.
Well, I don't know if you ever saw the Facebook hearings, but that's what Facebook was designed to do.
Yeah. So people have realized that they can use this tool to do bad things, to light fires, and to make us think something untrue is completely true. You make the right meme and it goes
really
around.
Engage people through vitriol, It's hate. Hate is a powerful tool.
So again, and our mission should then be to not
counteract that with love. To have a mission
not to tell the counter lies.
To have a mission full of love when you speak with truth. I mean, we were talking about this in the beginning or before this. I mean, this is a movement for love. This is about, can we connect truth with justice? When you speak with truth and you have the fire It doesn't, people will follow you.
Yeah.
The truth will come out eventually. It doesn't matter how much
Right.
concrete you put over it.
Yeah.
Truth is truth, is truth is truth, and we have to understand that. I mean, people are a lot of liars out there, but the truth will always come out, and
That is an important distinction.
people will always
Yeah.
be exposed.
That's what we need to do, is keep telling the true story, the honest, to the best of our ability, and humility where we fail. We need to admit our failings, and if we've...
Well, as long as you speak with conviction,
Yeah.
speak truth as you see it.
Mhm.
If people are speaking truth as they see it, then we would have a much better world. Speaking honestly, have words actually mean something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not just saying things for the sake of saying them, or,
Right.
I don't want to get into a conversation, so I agree. No. Let's get into the conversation. Disagree with me.
Speaking of conversations, we're probably just about out of time, but we were talking, just as we were setting up the show here, about a fireside chat, perhaps.
Right.
Doing a weekly piece with some folks who might like to come in and just sit down and talk, just like we're doing a simple conversation about issues in our community, about the election, about whatever comes up, and we'd like to invite folks out there to participate as well. So you can message us through the channel, or through the show, or through our Facebook page, however you track us down.
Yeah, and there's some events coming up too. I mean, they'll have more
Yeah.
information coming out online, but Rights and Democracy has the People Powered Summit and the Medicaid anniversary on July 27th, and the People Powered Summit, that's on the 23rd. The Medicaid anniversary should be good. I mean, we'll be at the DHHS here in New Hampshire, telling our stories about Medicaid and how important that is, and that's such an important program in this country. Understated importance. I mean, really, it's like one of the most powerful pieces of legislation that's ever been passed here,
Right.
and it's the example in a lot of ways for where we need to move forward. That, we're going to be celebrating it. We're going to be celebrating the anniversary of it, and I hope
That's a
I
milestone.
hope people show up on
That's
it. I forget what anniversary. We just celebrated the 50th, so it's either the 51st or 52nd. I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that. But
I'm not going to have the answer, so
I might be wrong.
good.
Might have slipped up there, but yeah, that should be a good event, and I'm really interested in the fireside chats, definitely too. I think that'll be a good thing. The left needs more media. We need more media. We need more people speaking out.
Yeah.
Talking.
And in my mind, in ways that are easy to access and easy to participate.
Right, right.
We'll try to work on that. So, well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you,
And
Dave.
I think we're going to say bye to the folks out there, and it's been real. We'll try to catch you next Thursday. We've been spotty, but we're working on it. So catch you on-
Should get a little bit better in the summer now that things have smoothed out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Smoothed out is such a it's a bit of a false term, but
Right.
gotten a little smoother.
A little smoother is the best we can do today.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you next time, folks.